Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I don't know why I got so aggressive all of a sudden, but welcome. Look, it's September 1st. It's the first day of September. First day of a brand new month. We are heading into the fall season. I cannot tell all of you how excited I am for sweater weather. And as opposed to sweating weather. Because I feel like I've talked about this before, but it's not necessarily a subject that I cover every week. Fall is my favorite season. It is unquestionably, without a doubt, no questions asked, it is my absolute favorite season. And I'm excited for it to come around because if only for the fashion. I feel I dress better. I feel I dress better during the fall. Don't you guys and gals and non-binary pals, don't you think that summertime fashion, like casual fashion, I'm not talking like, is gross, because it's all about exposing as much flesh as possible to keep yourself cool, and then you have guys with wearing shirts without sleeves, and and then you're seeing all the and everyone looks sweaty and baggy, and it's gross, man. The summer stinks. Give me like a nice comfy sweater, right, with maybe a scarf. You're going out, you just whip one around, you walk into the street, and then, you wave to people, as you're going down, and people are going like, oh, look at this old fucking hipster. And I'm okay with that, as opposed to me then going around in the street going, Jesus, man, I do not need to see your armpits right now. That's just me. Flip-flop, toes. I don't necessarily want to see strangers' toes as I'm walking around. And I contribute to the nonsense. I wear sandals the entirety of summer. I have a good sturdy pair, fantastic, sturdy, comfortable, perfect for walking, going on hikes, so on and so forth. Merrell sandals, just absolutely top tier footwear. But I'm not crazy about, me walking around with, my digits all sprung out like this. I'm not looking at people's toes. That's not what I'm saying. But they're there. And I try to avoid, but sometimes you can't. Look, let's say I'm going down the street. No, not even down the street. I walk into, let's keep going with the hipster thing. I go into a coffee shop, and I'm in the, I'm in the line, and I make my order. Give me, I will take a flat white, please. And they're making my order. So as I go up so as I pay for it, as they're preparing for it, and I pull out my wallet, you look down, right? You sort of look down. It's in my pocket here, and then the person right next to you is there in their fucking sandals. So you're looking down like at your thigh, but in the corner of your eye, you're seeing this dude next to you with his big, his big fucking toe with like a splotch, just a splotch of hair right on the toe. Just right there. And you're like, I don't want to see this shit. Why am I? There were a lot of good things about confinement during the pandemic. There were a lot of good things, and me not being exposed to other people's flesh tones was one of the good things. I'm not going to lie. All that to say, I'm excited for the fall because it's September 1st. Welcome to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Give the video a like. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, thank you very much. Mr. Warren Hayes Show, of course, is a podcast as well. You know the drill. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, it's everywhere. And a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, that would be great. 5-star rating on Spotify, that would be great as well. Great. Just great stuff. Absolutely great stuff. So yes, and you know, like I said, the AEW All Out Prediction Show is available right now as well. It's recorded, it's out there, it's ready for you to consume. So go ahead, consume it. Because I'm not, you know, I will not be giving my my All Out predictions and whatnot during the show tonight. We're going to talk, maybe there's a few things we're going to talk about that tie into All Out. But if you want my full thoughts on what the show is going to look like, plus Matt Ritter's, a lot of fun, little back and forth we got going. Go check it out. I think it's fantastic. Don't forget as well that there's a Discord that is out there as well. If you want to continue talking about pro wrestling and adjacent things adjacent to pro wrestling as well. What is adjacent to pro wrestling? Well, I find that video games are very adjacent to pro wrestling. I find film and television in general is also very adjacent. We talk about a whole bunch of stuff in the Discord, the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord. Link is in the description, and it is we're just waiting for you to come join us. Fun community. I'm very proud of the community. Good people, good talks, good times. We'll probably have a lot of fun this weekend because there's a lot of wrestling happening. So if you just want to hang out with some cool people during a very big weekend of pro wrestling here in North America, please come join us. What else? Well, and you can also become a member, right, of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. There's a lot of members here tonight, and if you do, well, then you get access to members only stuff. These days I've been doing a little thing called Going Broadway, all topics that I don't have time to cover on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show proper because I can't stop talking sometimes. I did just boil over into content for the members only. Come check that out. And if you join us live at the same time, you get emotes just exclusively for the members as well. So all of this is good stuff. It's all good stuff, and it shows a little support for the Mr. Warren Hayes Show as well. And you can also leave a super chat. It's another way to show some support. And I will read your super chat live and on the air as we're ready to go. Because now we are ready to go. We're absolutely ready to go. We're jumping right in this week with the weekly wrestling inspection. We are going to start the show this week by chit-chatting about AEW Dynamite. We're going to do the Dynamite review. As I said, we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of other stuff as well. We're going to be talking about Bobby Fish and Adam Shear and all that a little later on in the show. We're going to do the Clash at the Castle preview later on in the show. We're going to start by talking about AEW Dynamite right now. Because as far as go home shows go for a pay-per-view, this one was a hit. I mean, and oh look, I have a bunch of thoughts, but overall, like, this is my, here is your spoiler alert. I loved last night's Dynamite. I thought it was great. I thought it did a fantastic transition into the pay-per-view this weekend. So the show starts with, and not my favorite way to start the show. I talked about this a little bit at length last week. Maybe don't necessarily have to dive into it again this week, but I start your wrestling show off with a wrestling match. That's kind of what I tune in for. Not the talk, not the nonsense. Let's just go right in. Unless there's something very important we have to get out of the way. Which, starting the show with the undisputed AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley, coming to the ring because, he has no one to defend the title against at All Out yet. I think that's a pretty big deal to start the show off with. I think that makes a lot of sense. So the show starts with him coming to the ring, and he's immediately trash talking CM Punk. He says, that they're still mopping him off the floor the mat, I should say, in Cleveland. And don't forget, we're in Chicago, right? And the Chicago audience, nonetheless, mixed reaction for Mox. Not an outright, no outright, huge pop of cheers. But, they're definitely not burying him as well, right? So he gets to the ring. That's what he says. He says, they're still mopping him off the floor, off the mat in Cleveland. He says, when you get in the ring with Jon Moxley, he tests you and pushes you, and you find out what you're really made of. And CM Punk found out that his best shots just weren't enough. And when he found that out, at that moment, he started looking for a way out. So he curled into a little ball and folded. And the delivery that Mox has on this goddamn promo has me believing it top to bottom, like without even hesitation, without even a hint of hesitation, because he's fantastic. He's just fantastic. He says he has zero sympathy for CM Punk. He's got a fragile ego, fragile body, a weak mind, and a weak spirit. He leaves an envelope. Jon Moxley leaves an envelope in the ring. He says, this is an open contract. Anyone who wants it can come right in, pick it up, and sign it. He says, I'm ready to fight anyone. Maybe someone in New Japan. He looks into the hard cam and he says, Rocky, you got anyone? Rocky Romero, of course. You got anyone left? And he leaves. Shortly thereafter, Ace Steel comes in after he's gone to collect it. Mystery Man Ace Steel, which apparently has broken the minds of tons of people out on the internet. And like, who is this guy? Why did we not get years of weeks of exposition? I don't know. I don't know what's. Do wrestling fans watch Game of Thrones? Because I feel like the average wrestling fan would probably get lost in the labyrinth of Game of Thrones characters. Wait, who's this person? And then get mad and then turn the TV off. This always seems to be something that happens in wrestling where it's like, why didn't we get weeks of CM Punk and Ace Steel sitting around, having coffee together, swapping stories of when they were kids, or coming up in Ring About. Like, what more do you need? And it's like, it wasn't explained. It was explained. It was explained when he came to the ring. When he came to the ring, commentary outright said, this is Ace Steel, friend and trainer. And sure, like, I knew who Ace Steel was because, I'm not necessarily, I'm not going to pretend that I'm the most, I have the most entrenched knowledge of Ring of Honor in the history of the world. But there are certain elements of Ring of Honor that I am aware about and matches that I've watched. And, I know who Ace Steel is. So even if you didn't know who he was, they told you who he was. I swear sometimes it's just, and we get fixated on this stuff. And then this becomes the point of discussion. And this is what fascinates me. And it's kind of the same thing on Raw as well. I don't want to make this an entirely AEW thing. Because it happens on Raw as well. Because listen, and I'm going to talk about this later, but it happens the same thing where we focus on the weirdest stuff. We focus on something that just that breaks, that sort of breaks out of what we're used to, and then we're going to talk about that over and over again, despite the fact that we are getting great wrestling on television for free. We're going to sit here and we're going to harp about Ace Steel and what would have been a proper amount of time for us to care about what Ace Steel did. Like, I just don't understand it. I don't. There's a point in hot takes, but here's the thing. Rick Poling, nice to see you, and Evan Wright, nice to see you as well. Welcome, both of you. Here's something, because I read a very cool article by Jesse Collins over at WrestleNomics on the website, talking about, you know, wrestling criticism and how we review, and it was very eye-opening to me. There's a lot of things that he was talking about in his articles. You know what? I'm privy to do these things, right? But you know, without getting into detail, and I invite anyone who's into talking about pro wrestling and enjoys listening to people talk about pro wrestling, go read the article. It is a very well thought out article, and it's the hot take. It's hot take culture that creates these situations here, where you feel you have to have an opinion on fucking everything, which is fine, because you know what? If I didn't have an opinion on everything that happens in wrestling, I wouldn't have a podcast. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be, grateful enough to have people join in live. And, I wouldn't have had a time at Fightful. And I wouldn't have had, I wouldn't have the channel that I have today. And the people who come in and join me and who become members of the channel if I didn't have opinions. So, but hot take culture, that's the only way I can... puts us in a situation where we feel we have to react to a Steel I don't understand, as if it's ruining your experience. I think a valid criticism could be, you know what, I am fairly new to pro wrestling and I don't understand exactly who this was. Maybe if I would have got a week just to maybe, but at the same time, it's pro wrestling. How much exposition do you need? How much backstory do you need to just get into something? The guy comes in and says, it's his friend. It's his trainer. Oh, okay. Sure, he was there a couple of weeks last week and carrying Punk back. And that's neither here nor there. Because there's always tons of officials. And unless you're Pat Buck, unless you're Sanjay Dutt, who stand out from the pack of typical officials that go out there, right? An official gets lost it gets lost in the shuffle. You see a guy come in and you're like, who is this guy? Oh, he's an AEW official. Oh, and it turns out he's CM Punk's friend. Well, you're not an idiot. You can connect the dots and be like, well, he's probably going to bring that to CM Punk. You don't have to care for 6 hours. We can absolutely just like move along. And it's so weird that this becomes like a centerpiece of discussion. And it's one of the reasons I find Twitter so tiresome sometimes, because we get this Dynamite has legitimately fantastic matches from top to bottom, and we're going to talk about a steal. But again, we're not going to talk about how the women were on were booked on the first hour of the show and put on a teaser match to the Fatal 4-Way this weekend that should have your complete and utter faith. But no, we're going to be like, I don't understand who Ace Steel was. That ruined everything. I don't get it. I don't. I honestly and frankly do not get it. AK Germany left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, there's more than one royal family in wrestling, just like in Game of Thrones. So wrestling fans surely watch and can handle both. Well, you would assume so. That would be my grand design. Really, that would be the thing that would make me the most happy. And I'd be like, you can enjoy both. And you're able to connect the dots just as easily in one and the other. And I don't blame anyone necessarily for having these types of reactions when, again, again, wrestling has been done on television for 2 decades one way, one singular way. Without realizing that people can just pull things out of their hat and just put them on TV. You know, it can happen. It should happen. That's how it should be. Anyway, moving on. I'm gonna go down the entire CM Punk, Jon Moxley stuff in one segment here, and you know, we're gonna connect everything that happened later on in the evening. So, such as, I'm gonna talk about it right now. Later on in the evening, CM Punk comes out and he's downtrodden. He's brown beat. He's sad M Punk. He gets into the ring, starts talking about his foot surgery and having 16 screws put in his foot, which is more times than some fat guy in the audience has screwed in his entire life. Apparently, because this sort of came out of nowhere, and I was like, why is he heckling a dude? This is so strange, you know? But apparently there's a guy in the front row who was chanting Colt Cabana, which I think is immensely hilarious. I think it's funny as hell that it triggered Phil the way it did. If that is in fact what happened. But, you know, he coming back to the promo, CM Punk says that, you know, maybe he came back too soon. He's full of self-doubt. He's self-loathing as well, you know. He's been told he's 100%, he can go again, but it's a new 100%. So he doesn't know that if it's a real 100% or if we're just resetting to another 100%. He doesn't know if he's going to be good enough. And he says he loves the fans, and he feels that he let the fans down. And he's not sure that his love of wrestling and his love of the fans is enough anymore. He says, my little sister's here. I feel I let her down. Then Mystery Man Ace Steel hits the ring. You know what? I'm going to tell you. I hope Ace Steel becomes more of a fixture on AEW TV moving forward, because that's my new bit. Mystery Man Ace Steel. That is officially how I'm referring to. I'm referring to him moving forward. Trust me. So, he hits the ring, he being Mystery Man Ace Steel. He gets into the ring and starts delivering a fiery promo. Stating that, you know, again, and here's the thing. He says it in the middle of the ring. He says, you know, I'm his old trainer. I'm his best friend. We're like family. So not only do we have commentary where we have Excalibur and Tasmaniac telling us who, you know, Mystery Man Ace Steel is, but Mystery Man Ace Steel himself in the ring is saying, this is who I am in relation to your boy here in Chicago. And at this point, I'm like, why do people listen to the pro wrestling with the volume down? Which is entirely possible. I can't stand JR sometimes. I cannot blame you guys for putting it all on mute. I can't. But then if you put it on mute, you can't come around and be like, I don't understand what's going on. You know what I mean? It's, you know, it's kind of like saying, I didn't like Dynamite, but you didn't watch Dynamite. But he starts firing up CM Punk and he's saying, what are you doing? What are we even doing here? You sold out the United Center last year just on the rumor that you were going to come back. You're CM Punk. He fucking slaps him across the face, starts manhandling him. He's like, come over here. It's like, you know, we're going hard here. And he tells CM Punk, you're going to sign the contract. You're going to fight Moxley that all out. And that's all there is to it. You know, and if If Mystery Man Ace Steel had told me I'm CM Punk's father, I would have bought it. With everything that he did to CM Punk in that ring, said I'm his dad, I would have bought it. I would have been like, sure. Yeah, that's a great father figure you got there, Phil. And this animates Punk. He gets fired up himself, reminds us of how great a... And he reminds us from this moment forward how great of a promo he is. Just electric, fired up, babyface shit. And don't be perturbed. This was perfectly planned. Him coming out low energy, only to end up in the audience with crowds of people amassed around him as he's bellowing out the fact that the streets of Chicago are arteries and I'm gonna pump them with blood or something, with people holding up their babies like he's the Pope, waiting to bless them with the love of Christ or whatever. This was all by design. CM Punk coming in a moment of doubt, but exiting the promo where you're like, this guy's gonna tear it. This guy can do whatever he wants. This guy can do what I believe he can do whatever he wants. And it was electric. Because you compound this. You compound this to Moxley's promo, where Moxley is saying himself is, I am pro wrestling. I am the business, and everything he says is vicious and gnarly. Yeah, CM Punk coming down is like, oh God, he's Michael Cera in that scene of from Arrested Development, where he's just walking, and his shoulders down and his head lowered. You know what I'm talking about? But then at the end, he's got the flame lit up again. A bonkers moment. Absolutely bonkers. And that, look, you can be as pessimistic as you want. Or maybe not be pessimistic, but throw a little glass of cold water on this if you want. And say, CM Punk could not have done this if he wasn't in Chicago. I'm going to up the ante on that one. I would say they wouldn't have done this if CM Punk had not been in Chicago. They would have done something else. And it probably wouldn't, the story wouldn't have been the same thing. The story that led us to this promo would not have been the same thing if the Dynamite before All Out was not in Chicago. As I agree. But they would have done something else. Convinced. I thought this was great. I think this is as compelling you can get to set a main event 1 week before the pay-per-view. What am I talking about? 5 days before the pay-per-view. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 5 days. Unreal shit. Unreal. And then later, Mox comes out, he comes back out, and he says, if Punk wants to go out on his shield in front of his hometown fans, he's fine with that. The minute the bell rings, he's kicking his head off. Nice, tidy little package. I've got people, who are saying, R26, thank you very much for becoming a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But I've seen people say, I'm going to save these thoughts for later, because there are connections that I want to make here, and it goes into a more general picture heading into All Out, and I did discuss it as well on the prediction show, which you should watch, by the way. It's right here on the channel or on your favorite podcast app as well, on the feed. But I think that 1 week into this pay-per-view, couldn't have done anything better. And to circle back around to what I was talking about earlier about hot take culture in wrestling criticism and in criticism in general, really. I don't think it's just a wrestling thing. I think it's a media thing. It's comic books, movies, the whole 9 yards, video games. It's hot take, hot take. You have to have an opinion on everything. I am going to eat a little bit of, just a bit of crow here, a tiny bit. Because I think what this experience has taught me, which I thought I had learned earlier with CM Punk MJF and even with Hangman Omega, is when it comes to the top people in AEW, the top stories, I have to give more credit to what AEW is going to do creatively in terms of a story than just flip a table when there's something that makes no sense or that I haven't seen before and be like, look, I don't understand what's going on. This stinks. And I didn't outright say that, but I did have many reservations. And I think I need to start, I think I've learned my lesson here. Where I am going to, when it comes to the top level guys, I have an expectation now that the stories are going to be played out over a series of weeks, and that when it all culminates, when there is the conclusion, when we get to the final match, it will all make sense. Everything will come together and we're like, Jesus, okay. I really should have just taken my time instead of just thinking week after week, I don't understand what's going on, or, you know, hot taking the whole thing. Because if you look back now at the whole John Moxley CM Punk thing, the whole development, this story that's brewed for over a month and a half at this point, sure, the injury stunk and it was part of it, but it all makes sense. It all makes sense. It all makes sense. It's CM Punk, the hero, coming back broken, breaking himself mentally, and getting his resurgence. And I mean, you can maybe disagree with how things were presented, because yes, it is unusual, and we talked about it I'm telling you guys, you should listen to the preview to the AEW All Out preview show that I did with Matt Ritter. We talked about it as well. You may disagree on how, on announcing a main event 5 days before your show. You absolutely can. But it's hard to fault the storytelling in this situation here, because it all makes sense in a glorious sports-centric way. Look, I'm gonna chat about it a little more, a little towards the end here, but I thought all of this ruled. I thought it was great. And if this was a last-ditch effort to get people psyched for the pay-per-view, if it didn't work, you're not going to buy it. If it worked, you're going to buy it. And that's all there is to it. Now, back into the show itself. Chris Jericho is backstage. He gets interviewed, talking about Stu Hart and whatnot. Daniel Garcia arrives, and he apologizes to Chris Jericho for being ungrateful. And on top of that, he pledges his allegiance, his loyalty to Chris Jericho, saying at the same time, Jericho, I know you're going to beat Bryan Danielson this weekend without distractions or cheating, because I believe in you. I'm going to tell you, in the short time that they have built this story for this match, it is right now my favorite thing on AEW. It's really my favorite thing. It's just, as far as intrigue goes, and I talked about it last week when the whole thing went down in the ring, and where I'm like, Jericho and Garcia in the ring, and Jericho wants him to apologize. I'm like, okay, Garcia's turning, he's going to the Blackpool Comic Club. Danielson comes out, and I'm like, okay, now everything is up in the air at this point, and now things are even more up in the air, because now we have Garcia backstage saying, Chris, you can do this without cheating. I believe in you. And then in the match, well, now we have the match, right? Bryan Danielson versus Jake Hager. And at the end of the match, you have Chris Jericho running in, who wants to brain Bryan Danielson with a chair. Garcia runs in and takes the chair away. Jericho's like, what the fuck? And Jericho turns around and eats a Busaiku knee and he's dead. And Garcia's like, I fucked up again. This is my level of intrigue that I like, because this has been spot on perfect. Just excellent execution from top to bottom. Absolutely top to bottom execution. I loved every second of it. And I love where this is going. And I love that we're going into All Out and we don't know. Because there's really three outcomes here. He joins Blackpool Combat Club, Daniel Garcia. He stays with the JAS. Or he goes off on his own. And he's like, all these factions, I'm going off and I'm doing the lone wolf thing. Maybe borrowing a little Davey Richards here. You know what I mean? Although Davey's a bad example these days because he's, he has a team now. Oh, look. Anyway, look. The point here is that the whole intrigue is there and it exists and it's good. And then on top of that, here's something that we should be considering for All Out this weekend. Next Wednesday, our boy Garcia is challenging once again for the pure title on Dynamite. So what does that entail exactly? What does that create? In what context is this going to happen? Is this going to be with him being back on Jericho's side? Or is this going to be his initiation into the BCC? Because at this point, honestly, I think Yuta's dropping the title to him. I think Garcia's hot. He's super hot right now. Put a title on him. Garcia has been over-delivering in this. A guy who is right now showing how good he is on the mic, how charismatic he is, how he can handle character work. And this is a guy that how many people have shit on from the day that he walked down that ramp in AEW. He's just another guy in boots. There's another guy with a towel. What the fuck? What's his... Just a plain old son of a... Look at where we're at right now. Has Garcia even been in AEW for a year at this point? We've known this guy is fantastic from the start. He's over-delivering in this feud. It has been great. Great. As for the match, Bryan Danielson versus Jake Hager, this was a lot better than I had expected. We get some grappling from the start. Hager pushes Danielson out of a guillotine. They end up on the floor. A dive by Danielson. Danielson goes for the running dive off the apron. He gets caught by Hager, who spikes him through a table, followed by a suplex on the floor on top of that. So that was really good stuff. Spine buster in the ring by Hager. Elbow shots on him. And he's like, you know, that's what he's pointing his elbow. And I'm like, yes, this is an elbow, Jake. Just do your thing. And it's fun. Don't you think it's funny? I'm just going to put this out there. Jim Ross, who the minute any wrestler showboats in the ring, takes a little moment to get some heat or get some fan support, he's going to stay on him. You got to stay on him. That's a big mistake. Like the minute, right? You have old grumpy Uncle Jim. But his boy, his Oklahoma boy, Jake Hager, takes 5 to 6 seconds to point to his elbow. JR doesn't say a goddamn thing. There's a missile drop kick by Danielson that knocks Hager down. In and out of holds they go. Hager breaks out of a Juji Katami triangle, then by Bryan Danielson. Rough and tumble stuff, playing off of Hager's MMA experience. Danielson is struggling to get the label lock. I love this. I love that. You know why I like this? Because it felt real. It felt like a fight. Because Hager is taller, bigger. He's got longer limbs than Danielson. So Danielson, of course, is having a hell of a time locking on the label lock. And Hager's using his noodly arms to do whatever. Like, I like this. But what does our boy Danielson do? He pivots. He's like, okay, I can't submit you. Knee to the teeth. We're done. I really like this. I really like this. Most improved wrestler of the year, Jake Hager, is apparently a thing. How are you most improved when you've been wrestling for, like, anyway, I don't want to get into it. And you know what? Look, here's the thing. You're Jake Hager, you're fucking MrWarrenHayes, and you're wrestling Bryan Danielson, the greatest North American wrestler to ever do it. How can you not have a good match? Right? I'd have a 3.5-star match with Bryan Danielson. Guaranteed. He'd carry me to a 3.5-star match. So the wingmen are in the ring with picket signs demanding more time on TV, which is, God, that's ironic, isn't it, though? Like, I don't... With the numerous criticisms that exist over, you know, giving, you know, time on television to your vast roster, is this the path you want to go down, Tony Khan? I don't know. But look, this all sets up the arrival of the former Big Cass, W. Morrissey, who walks down the ring looking like... I honestly do not remember seeing Big Cass, W. Morrissey, looking that good. Our boy Garrett Kidney, who takes care of everything Impact over there on Twitter, he said that, you know, anyone watching Impact should not be surprised at the transformation of W. Morrissey. He's been in this shape for a while, apparently, but I was stunned nonetheless. Absolutely floored. And he cleans out, of course, you know, the wingmen are, they're dopes, right? They're prelim guys. They eat shit. That's what they're there for. Even though my boy Pretty Peter Avalon tried his best, Morrissey just destroys them all. And guess who's hanging around with a business card, ready to sign a deal with him? Stokely Hathaway. And Morrissey's like, fuck yeah. And Tony Schiavone and Stokely Hathaway getting a little heat, getting a little having a little argument, getting into a little something, you know, and Tony Schiavone, he's got the dog in him, I think, right? That's what the kids say these days. I enjoyed this a great deal. Now, here's the thing. Here's something that I feel like not a lot of people are talking about, but look at the little stable that our boy Stoke is building for himself, right? He's already got, he's got Jade, and then he's picked up Ethan Page, the Guns, Lee Moriarty, and now W. Morrissey. Look, if AEW wants to create a stable around a manager, not unlike the Heenan family, which I think is sorely missed in pro wrestling, have a nice little array of mid-card people that can go upper mid-card, lower mid-card, depending on... I'm all for this. And this is a very interesting... this is a very interesting collection of people that he's putting together. And all guys who are, and gals, right? Who are, I think, have value to AEW. Yes, and even the Guns, despite everything. I still think Austin Gunn is going to WWE the minute they offer him a contract. But, look, I think this is great. I'm intrigued by this Stokely thing. Like, this is something that's simmering. And whenever they pull the pin, this is gonna, everyone's gonna be like, holy shit, this has been happening right under our nose for a while now. I like it. It's cool. We get a United Empire locker room segment with Don Callis being very belittling to one Will Ospreay. We'll talk about the match in a bit, because first we're going to talk about the tag team match where Hikaru Shida and Toni Storm defeated Dr. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter in their warm-up match for All Out. Now, I think this was... let's talk about the match. Okay, I really like this match. Again, I think that when it comes to multi-person matches... when it comes to multi-person matches in AEW, when it comes to people sort of like coming together, having a match with more than one person, I think the women's division really excels in this, because I think a lot of the really good matches that we've been having recently have all involved multiple wrestlers, multiple women. I think that's one thing, and you can even go back to matches like, you know, the Bunny and Penelope Ford versus TJ from a few months ago, right? The bloody thing that had Vince McMahon react in a newspaper because of, you know, blood and guts, and can you believe, you know, fragile little women being forced to bleed in a wrestling ring? How gauche. Here in this circumstance here, I thought this again was proof that we have a very good upper crust of talent in this company. Now, I know Tony Khan had his media call today, and I'm at a point where the media calls do nothing for me. Because I find that all of the questions are mostly softballs, and it turns into gotcha situations where it's like, what is the next shitty thing that Tony's going to say that we can sort of lose our shit about? And he said some stuff about Thunder Rosa and the fact that she had to go interim with the title. You know, and he gave CM Punk 8 minutes where he gave just 60 seconds for Rosa to do her thing, and I understand, like, I get it, you know, I get his reasoning, and honestly, I sort of want to keep this. I want to keep this focused on the match here, because whatever Tony Khan feels about his women's division, whatever he feels about how things are going, he should and absolutely needs to rest assured that if he builds his division around these 4 women right here, it's going to be fine. And he should feel confident in putting more women's matches on TV if he's going to build it around these 4 women. Because this was extremely solid. This was very good. And again, like, it's the kind of situation where I look at this and it's like, it seems like once again, the women are in a position where they have to have something to prove. And it always feels like that with women in wrestling, that they always have something to prove. With the guys, you know, a segment flubs, a match doesn't turn out so good, and well, you know, we'll try again next week, we'll move on, we'll do something else. But for the women, it's like a death knell every time. And every time they're in a position where they have something to prove. And this is not just with AEW. I thought this match was very good. Starts off hard with Sheeta planting Hayter face first with the head scissors. And I kind of feel like that's a little move that went just slightly askew. Just slightly askew. And then I was like, oh, not poor Jamie again. being on the receiving end of a sloppy move. But no, everything was fine. There's a great drop toe hold by Toni Storm. The heels are in control, of course. Flying DDT by Toni Storm. Sheeta gets a hot tag. Great delayed suplex on Hayter as well. Just fantastic stuff. But Hayter fights back with a double suplex on the babyfaces. And I like how Jamie Hayter, right, is built like a she's really built like a powerhouse in the women's division. And the more things are going, I'm like, Jamie Hayter and Nyla Rose, let's fucking go. What are we waiting for? Let's do this. Let's have a real deal program. This could be a lot of fun. Flying DDT by Toni Storm off the apron to the floor. The katana kick by Sheeta. I think that's what she calls it. And she hits it on Britt Baker. We have our girl, Britt, laying down doing the job. I enjoyed this a lot. I enjoyed this quite a bit. Everyone looked good here. Did it look like everyone is putting in a little extra effort, considering maybe? You never know what kind of motivations will come out here, right? This is why I tell you, sometimes, the backstage stuff, it can get overwhelming, but the chaos is good. These types of environments in a competitive locker room, in a competitive environment like pro wrestling, these things are good. So I'm not trying to disparage anyone, and I'm definitely not putting on my tinfoil hat and saying, well, this is what happened. But if Thunder Rosa being out of the picture for now has the other top women in the division going, yeah, you know what? We're gonna tighten this. We're gonna set this ship right, and let's fucking go. There you go. I thought this was a very good match. We get a video package building the AEW All-Atlantic Championship match between Kip Sabian and champion Pac. We also get a pre-tape of Sting, Darby, and Miro getting their match ready for, or hyping up their match at All Out against the House of Black. Jim Ross does a sit-down interview with Jack Perry, the Jungle Boy, and Christian Cage. Cage says that he's going to make Jungle Boy a has-been at the age of 25. Jungle Boy says that he's going to be fighting, that says to Christian that he's going to be fighting Jack Perry this Sunday. Are we slowly, is this the cue? Are we slowly moving away from the the jungle attire, the little booties, and so on and so forth. Because I think this is something that everyone expected when Jungle Boys. We've been talking about this for almost since the start, right? Since AEW started. The day that they decide to pull the trigger on a singles run for Jungle Boy, he's got to become Jack Perry, right? Like, or Jungle Jack Perry, whatever they want to call him, right? We'll see. Again, this is something I invite you all once again to listen to the prediction show, the All Out prediction show that I did, available here on the channel or on your favorite podcast application. But Matt and I talked about this, and we're both kind of in agreement that this feud is not as hot as it was from the start. Now, I'm excited to see this match for multiple reasons, because I think, the safe money is Jungle Boy winning this match, because this is going to be this is the cement, the foundations for his singles push, right? So over Christian's going to be a fantastic heel to work against. They're going to tell a great in-ring story. I'm excited to see the match. But this feud was molten hot. Like, I molten hot. And I think it's cooled off considerably. We talk about some reasons for that. But this is, it's an interesting dichotomy here where, I'm still excited to see the match, don't get me wrong, but maybe not as much as I was when these guys were really at each other's throats and Christian was doing that, all of that. We get a trios match where the FTR and Wardlow got a little warm-up match against Ren Jones, Silas Young, and Ice Pick Vic Capri. Talking about Ace Steel earlier. We got Vic Capri in the ring. Silas Young did not tag in. That's got to be the best kind of payday. When you book for a wrestling match and you don't have to wrestle. It's fantastic stuff. Well, of course, it's a squash match. That's fine. Tony Schiavone is backstage. He's talking with the Dark Order, with Evil Uno, actually, Preston Vance 10. And Evil Uno is saying that he's going to be taking 10's spot in the trios match for the Dark Order this Friday, because Vance is injured. But then Andrade comes in and he offers money. He offers money for Vance to come work with him. I thought it was Evil Uno. I don't understand what. I don't know. Look, the point is that we got to the point where I knew this is where we were going, where Hangman Page is going to step in as the third member of this trios. So this automatically ensures that the Dark Order are moving on to the finals this Sunday at All Out, right? I mean, there's no that's the story. This is what you're telling, right? You want to bring back the Elite and the awkwardness between the Elite and Hangman Page. This is what you're doing, right? This is what you want. That's what Hangman Page says later on, after the attack and so on and so forth. He says later on, when he runs into the Beaver Boys, he tells them, because Silver is basically saying, I'll take over. We'll do, Reynolds and I will do a 2-on-3 if we have to. And Page's like, I got your back, boys. Interesting. I thought, this is what I was going, I didn't think they were going to pull the trigger full on this one. I thought they were going to wait to Friday, have Uno wrestle the match, but then get injured in the match, and then have Hangman arrive as the hero on Sunday kind of thing, which I think would have been a really nice moment. Would have been a fun pop. But this is fine too. Wheeler Yuta defeated Dante Martin, Rey Fenix, and Roosh in a fast-paced, crazy match designed to get you excited for the ladder match this weekend. And look, my main notes here: Roosh actually worked in this match, so that was a change. I really liked Dante Martin's reversal out of a gory special into a sunset bomb. I thought that was great. That was dope. Roosh hits a straight jacket pile driver, poison Rana by Martin, and Rey Fenix flies all over the place during the match. Wheeler Yuta gets the win with the seatbelt pin as well. I thought this was great. I thought this was very good. I am, again, you know, I've talked about it before and I'll say it again. I'm burnt out on ladder matches. They can't get, it's hard to get me excited on ladder matches these days. You know, my challenge for wrestling promotions in 2023, make me miss ladder matches. Make me miss them. That's what I want. Challenge for 2023. The AEW Trios title tournament semifinal match where the Elite, composed of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, defeated the United Empire crew of Aussie Open and Will Ospreay. Evan Wright earlier on in the evening left a super chat. Thank you very much as well. Again, he says, here to praise Kenny Goat Mega and the Young Goats. Look, I love this main event. I know a lot of people, there was a large consensus of people regarding the main event last week being one of the greatest things. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. It was good and all, you know, and I thought there was a lot of hyperbole regarding last week's main event. Here, I thought this was better. I thought this was sounder. There was more emotion to it. I'm not saying this is a psychology masterclass here. It was a spot fest. Don't get me wrong. But I thought everything connected here. And the Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega stuff, that undercurrents the whole thing, just absolutely fantastic shit. This match here was absolutely fantastic. I liked it better than last week's main event, which a lot of people really. This was more my speed. This is what we're talking about here, and it hits the ground running right off the bat too. You have Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay going right aggro on each other, and we're like, no, let's not have these. Let's wait until they. No. These guys are mad. They're pissed. They hate each other. They go for it. Ospreay overwhelms Omega, and then the tag teams run in, and it turns into chaos really, really quickly, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. Aussie Open catch the Young Bucks on the floor. They sandwich him between Kenny Omega. Will Ospreay goes then on the top rope, hits the Sky Twister. They fight all the way back up the ramp, and on the floor next to the ramp as well. Matt Jackson dives off the ramp and onto everyone on the floor. Great stuff. We're back in the ring now, and there's the Elite start working over Will Ospreay, but he fights back with a handspring double kick on the Bucks. Mark Davis then comes in, slams both Bucks at once. Oh yeah! Omega eventually gets a hot tag. Snapdragons everywhere. You get a Snapdragon suplex. You get a Snapdragon suplex. You get a Snapdragon suplex. But Will Ospreay gets one, lands on his feet. God, I love this. I'm such a sucker for this shit. Everyone's on the floor. Will Ospreay is like, let's go. Space flying tiger drop. But Kenny Omega avoids it, hits a Snapdragon on the floor. Double delayed superplex by Aussie Open, which was outstanding. They did it on Omega, and I swear, If anyone still at this point thinks that Kenny Omega is really injured and, oh, he's not ready to... He bumped. A guy who's still in pain, is injured, who can't go, who's not ready to go. He came back too soon and all that bullshit. He's fine. He was fine when he came back 2 weeks ago. Ospreay even tears off the protective gear. I don't know who pointed this out, but I saw it pointed out and it just popped into my head. Someone said, Kenny Omega's not even tanned. Nice attention to detail. And I'm like, yeah. You're going to have Eric Bischoff on his show this week saying, I would have never pushed that guy. He wasn't tanned enough. Nick gets an incredible hot tag. Nick Jackson, just an incredible hot tag. And he starts tearing it up with a string of incredible offense, including this wild springboard sunset bomb that he hit. Finally, goes for a 450 on Ospreay, but Billy Goat pulls up the knees. Can't go any forward. Snapdragon by Ospreay, which leads to another square off between him and Kenny Omega. That ends with a Liger bomb by Ospreay. The Young Bucks attack Fletcher, and the Elite hit the combo super kicks V-trigger. The United Empire hit an assisted somersault spike pile driver. That gets a 2.9 cover. I fucking bit. I bit. Indie Taker by the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, who ends the match with the one-winged angel on Fletcher. For once, not Mark Davis eating the pin. I thought this was great. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. I'm going to say something. I just want to share something with all of you. And I know that there's a lot of people who have, difficulty coming around to this reality for multiple reasons, which are valid, right? But I want to share this with you. Keep it close. Will Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers in the world right now. And I know it chaffs a lot of people. I know it really gets under some people's skin. And that's fine. I understand. But it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard to not be able to recognize that he is absolutely one of the top 5 wrestlers in professional wrestling today. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The reasons for disliking Will Ospreay are there. He has a track record. Look, for multiple reasons. Anyone who wants to outright dislike him can. It's fine. I get it. But his in-ring work is unquestionably spectacular. He's unfathomably good. And he's wrestling right now. This is the thing, right? And it's this. Look, we're going to package Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks in here as well. And Will Ospreay. These guys are wrestling for us right now at the top of the game. Internationally, world-class athletes wrestling for us right now, putting on extraordinary matches that in 20, 30, 40 years, people are going to be looking back on them and like, why did people in 2022, why did they not see the greatness that was before them? And I sincerely believe that. I sincerely believe that once these guys, their careers are over, and people are going, you know what? The Jacksons were really fucking great. They're one of the best tag teams of all time. And we're going to stop with all the nonsense. And we're going to stop with all the nonsense in regards to Will Ospreay too. And Kenny Omega too. In 30 years, no one is going to be talking about Kenny Omega and blow-up dolls. We're so full of nonsense sometimes. And it's fucking frustrating. It's frustrating because it's like I talked about what I said a little earlier. We're always so goddamn focused on the stupid shit that we don't realize what's going on right before our eyes. And what we have right now, and I know the term gets thrown around a lot, but we do have some generational talent, so like some real deal generational talent. I'm not just throwing that out there to look smart on a tweet or get engagement. We have generational talent performing for us on a weekly basis. And we're going to focus on fucking nonsense. He exposed the business because he wrestled a blow-up doll. They don't sell, they can't tell stories. Flippy shit, flippy-doo shit. It's all all he does is choreograph bullshit. I promise you, once these guys' careers are over and the next generation of fans come up and they go back and they look at these matches, they're going to be laughing at us. Not me, but you know what I mean. Like, how could you not be in this era right now and not be flabbergasted by the amount of talent? So, just to wrap things up here on the Dynamite, this was, of course, the go-home show, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. You know, no, not every match was well represented on this card here moving forward. But the matches that needed to were. The matches that needed the boost did. Absolutely. Now, to come back to what I was talking about earlier in regards to CM Punk and Jon Moxley and the story they were telling, you know, again, talked about this on the preview show, AEW preview show. It's available right here on the channel or on your favorite podcast application, along with Matt Ritter's Making the Raw podcast. You know, I touched on this last week as well, and we also discussed it amongst ourselves. You know, pay-per-view buys mostly happen the same day regardless, right? It's mostly a same-day purchase. I don't know. I don't buy pay-per-views months in advance. No matter how excited I am for them. I'm always going to buy it last minute because, look, you never know, right? There's a whole bunch of things here. But, the question that, this is ultimately the question that I'm finding very interesting, that in a business aspect of it, where we were 5 days removed from a pay-per-view, we didn't have an official main event, and people were losing their minds. People said, this is not how you do it. This is not how you do it. Although it was transparent, we saw what was going on, right? Do we need weeks of build? That's the question. I think this is the question that this situation is evoking, as opposed to, well, this isn't what we should be doing. Do we need weeks of build? Ultimately, I will argue with you that there has been weeks of build to this match because it's been simmering, because it's been happening, because of Jon Moxley winning the interim title, because of CM Punk and his quote-unquote injury, and then the angle last night, and the unification. The angle has been there. There has been build to a match that was set to happen, but just hadn't been announced officially. But we see where this is all guided us to. But my point being here, do we need weeks of build to a pay-per-view? Is this the thing? On the preview show, we talked about singles matches that could have happened on the pay-per-view. We talked about like a couple of trios matches where we were like, Matt and I, where we were in agreement. We were like, why aren't we just getting FTR and Motor Machine Guns? Motor City Machine Gun, excuse me. Because that's the match. People are saying this is kind of a dream match. No, it's not kind of a dream. It's not, because it's a trios match. The dream match is FTR, MCMG, 2-on-2. Team on team. And Wardlow versus Jay Lethal, right? And then you can even go with the another trios match where Malachi Black and Miro is the match. That's the one. That's the match, not the trios match with the House of Black and Darby. That's not it. What we could have had the tag team matches. We could have had the tag team match: Darby and Sting versus Buddy and Brody King. But we could also have the singles match, and we were talking about it. And the point that I brought up was maybe, we laughed about it at first, was that maybe Tony's just keeping them for TV. And I'm like, well, maybe we are keeping this for TV. Maybe he is keeping this for TV because ratings, because of the nature of the business. Tony Khan is going to be renegotiating his contract next year for AEW. So why wouldn't you put, Miro and Malachi Black for a Dynamite? Why wouldn't you? Okay, sure. Get people excited about it. It's a match people want to see. Put it on free TV. Well, free TV, on cable, on a Wednesday night. And cross your fingers that'll pop a rating. That people will tune in. Because ultimately, these companies, and WWE it didn't set the standard. It's playing the game now. It's about licensing fees. This is how they're making the money. You're getting, as opposed to a pay-per-view, which is a roll of the dice. Because you don't know how many people are going to order it. You get your licensing fees in. You get the networks, your partners, your broadcast partners to feed you the money. You sign for 3 years. They give you X amount of millions per year. That's guaranteed money. Everything else is extra. So if Tony is like, look, I could put Malachi Black and Miro on the pay-per-view, but maybe I should save that for TV. I could do the blow-off to Wardlow and Jay Lethal on the pay-per-view, but I could also keep it for TV. And as wrestling fans, we've been conditioned throughout from the 30, 40 years of the thing, where it's like, you put shitty matches on TV so that people will buy the pay-per-view, or back in the day, so that people will buy a ticket to go see the show live, right? The business has changed since 1996. Because now it's about licensing fees. Sports properties that can produce live content on a weekly basis, 52 weeks out of the year. That's WWE's basic argument, their basic playbook. It's like you are going to have original live content week after week, and the networks are ready to pay money for the live content because that's what's drawing people to sit down and watch TV, as opposed to Game of Thrones or anything else that you can DVR, so on and so forth. The Game of Thrones is a bad example because that's we're talking cultural phenomenon, but any other type of television consumable that's pre-recorded, you don't necessarily feel compelled to be there at that specific hour. You can DVR it. You can watch it on streaming later. Everyone has a streaming service now. You can watch it on demand whenever you want. But live sports, again, I've made this argument before. I don't know many people who are like, you know what, I missed the game on Sunday, I'll watch it on Tuesday. No one does that. Or a very insignificant number of people do that, watch a replay of a sports game. I think it kind of applies with wrestling too. Because higher ad rates. That's why, because you're sitting people right in front of the television. You're focusing their eyes right on the product right there. And no skipping, no whatever. It's right there. It's money for everyone. So I'll be very interested. I'll be very, very interested to see once the buys come out for All Out this year. I'm going to be very excited to see how well it did. With a main event that was announced 5 days beforehand, but if you were paying attention, you knew this is what we were going to get, right? Or at least there was intrigue around it. Again, you're going to have the weirdos out there, and I've warned you about this before. You're going to have the weirdos out there who are going to tell you, All Out is doomed to fail because they didn't properly build a main event. I'm not, for whatever reason. But these are the same people who probably told you that Forbidden Door was going to fail. Don't listen to him. Listen to your boy Warren. So here's what I'm thinking in regards to this. I'm going to give you a thought, a prediction here. And I think it's going to be regardless, this is going to be such an interesting conversation to have after we're done here. Because if we're talking what buys for All Out this year, look, there is no way in hell that AEW's All Out 2022 pay-per-view is going to do a business similar to what they did in 2021. That was CM Punk's first match back in wrestling against Darby Allin. It did 205,000 buys. That's a record. It's going to take a while for them to shatter it, and it's not going to be this year. There's no way. They don't have anything remotely as hot. Now, if I'm looking at everything here, this would be my ballpark, okay? This is my ballpark. I think All Out 2022, low end, is going to do 145,000 buys. That would be my base. I think lower is a failure. I think lower, you're like, yeah, this didn't work out. And why am I betting on, why am I saying 145,000? Full Gear last year, which I thought was an okay show, had an okay card, despite the fact that it was Hangman's christening as champion. It did 145,000 buys. And I think that's the floor for All Out. High end, 165,000. I think if I'm Tony Khan and my pay-per-view does my All Out this year does 165,000 buys, I'm thrilled to the gills. To me, this is a rampaging success, and everything I have done to book this show, I did it right. I'm exaggerating, but still, and it would be proof to me that the notion of the long build ain't necessarily a true thing in the year of our Lord 2022. And again, this is what I'm setting the bar on. Double or Nothing did 155,000. Revolution did 165,000, and I think Revolution was a better built show. I think that, so what would be the median? What, 150,000 would be, if I'm saying 153, 55,000, is where I'd situate myself and I'd be like, look, that's what I'm expecting. It's going to do good, decent business, but I don't think it's going to turn people off as much as some people might think it will be, just because a main event wasn't announced 2 days beforehand. Now, I have lots of thoughts on the show, which I covered on the AEW All Out 2022 predictions and preview show that I did with Matt Ritter of the Smackin' It Raw podcast that you can listen to whenever you want, because I've been talking about it from the beginning of the show. But you know, before we get into Clash at the Castle, you know, it's there's a little something that happened this week on Monday Night Raw, where Raquel Gonzalez and Aaliyah became your new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, defeating Io Shirai and Dakota Kai to win the straps. I think this is this the fantastic, immaculate Triple H booking that everyone keeps talking about? Is this it? Because look, I'm an Occam's razor kind of guy when it comes to booking. I'm like, yeah, let's keep it as simple as possible. Let's do the things that make the most sense. Tell me, folks. Tell me what would have made the most sense here. Just tell me what would have made the most sense. Because this is very much Vince booking. This is Vince booking. This is a swerve for swerve's sake. Because what would have made sense was for the tag team, which was part of a group that you are currently establishing as being fearsome and dominant since SummerSlam, they should have won the titles. And not only are you establishing them as dominant, as a force to be reckoned with, which are terms that come out of Jimmy what's-his-name's mouth and Michael Cole's mouth on both shows, because apparently there's no more brand split. I don't know what's going on anymore. But on top of that, on top of the fact that you want to make them fearsome, these women are well-liked by wrestling fans. Io Shirai, Dakota Kai, people like them a lot. I think that the jury is out when it comes to Aaliyah, and I don't think Raquel Gonzalez is maybe as over as WWE would like her to. But look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. They're going, no, you thought we were going to go this way. You thought we were turning left. We're making a hard right. And I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Because to me, this was something that if there were any kind of real change in regards to the booking in WWE, this would have been the first immaculate test where you're like, there you go. This is the logical choice as far as your booking goes. You put the straps on the top heels that you want to create for your division, but no. Now they look like dorks. And I've heard the arguments, and this blows my mind, folks. Completely blows my mind. I've heard the argument. Oh, excuse me. Warren. Yes. Warren, they are transitional champions, you see, because Sasha's and Naomi's are coming back, so they want them to win the titles. So it is transitional champions, yes? And this fucking blows my mind, because I've seen this argument and I've heard it, and I don't, why would you want your champions to come out of a tournament to be transitional champions? Put your top people there out the gate. Got people saying, why should the Elite and Kenny Omega win the trios titles? Because you want your top people holding the belts. And then they're transitional champions because you want a softball for Sasha and Naomi if/when they come back. I don't understand. Why would you not give Sasha and Naomi the best possible, most compelling match out the gate then? Why wouldn't it be? Sasha Naomi versus Io and Dakota. Which is the match you want to see? I don't know anyone who wants to see Sasha and Naomi versus Raquel and Aaliyah. What are we doing? Stop kidding yourselves. This is absurd. No argument holds water for putting these belts on Raquel and Aaliyah when the top heel faction that you're trying to establish as dominant and eventually as a threat to your two top baby faces that are going to return to your company as heroes. What are we even doing? Transitional champions winning a tournament. What is wrong? What kind of brainworm exists in the minds of people when this is the kind of stuff that comes out as excuses? This is mind-defying booking. This is a bad move. And everything that we've been talking about Triple H, when you think about it there, everything. Well, they can say wrestling on TV again. They're naming moves again, commentary is, right? And he's bringing back Dexter Lumis and Dakota Kai, and he's bringing back all these great people. It's all window dressing. Don't you get it? I've told you. I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you that there would be no significant changes until, at the very least, until their contracts are renewed. And you have the proof right here. Boggles my mind. I don't understand it. Triple H, we will give him the credit of allowing more competitive, interesting matches on Raw. This is something that is directly, that you can, I think you can directly connect with. We had the Street Profits and the Gable Academy, the Alpha Academy have a great tag team match on Monday. No stakes, nothing. There's nothing. No stakes. For Kurt Angle's love. That was the saying. Winner drinks milk with Kurt. It was a nothing match, but it was a great match. But the moment where you can start showing that that your booking is going to make sense, that it's going to not try and swerve us at every given angle, you drop it. You're like, nope. Going to give it to Raquel and Aaliyah. And Aaliyah was playing dead for the majority of the match. She got knocked out, fell off the apron, and she was dead. And this, again, after her 2 weeks ago in Toronto, coming out in front of her home crowd, and no one giving a shit, and having a snooze fest of a match against Bayley. No, this Aaliyah kid. Trips has a test this weekend. This is officially, without a question of a doubt, the first pay-per-view completely signed Paul Levesque. That's happening this weekend, Clash at the Castle. Because I will give, because of the timing of when he took over and where we were at the, in the build and where we were landed in for SummerSlam, I am not convinced that everything Vince related was, I think there were still a lot of Vince McMahon prints on SummerSlam. But now we have Clash at the Castle this weekend happening. And this is a test for Trips here. This is one where you got to keep an eye on to see what's going to happen, because again, it can go either way. We can see if he's really going to have an influence on the booking, if there is going to be a change in the way they're going to start telling their stories and moving forward, or if it's just going to be same old, same old. Vape Ross Vape left a super chat. Thank you very much, Ross. I appreciate it. He says the Triple H placebo is wearing off. Take another one. Yeah, what's something they can start calling them belts again. Then next week, everyone will start freaking out. Oh, he said belts. Oh my gosh, Vince is gone. Triple H is so great. No. I'm looking forward to Clash at the Castle because there's some good stuff here. There's stuff that but I want to see what he's going to do. I'm going to see what the plan here is. And generally speaking, WWE pay-per-views, pretty good. Generally speaking, I think they had a better streak. They had a good streak last year. I think this year's been a little iffy. Then again, Triple H, our savior, the man who will save wrestling. Let's see what he has for us this weekend, September 3rd, at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales. We're going to have a tag team match between Edge and Rey Mysterio versus The Judgment Day. Damian Priest and Finn Balor. See, here's the thing. If we were really doing something different, if we were truly, sincerely doing something different here, if the Triple H era was going to be punctuated by something, you put Rhea in that Judgment Day tag team. Yeah, let's go. But we're not there yet, and that's not going to happen for a while. I think a lot of people like the story that's being told here. I think this should be fine. I think it should be fine. Dominic's not involved, so that's 3/4 stars added automatically. I would see the Judgment Day getting a big win here. Do you think they're going to play off the fact that Finn is from Ireland and Ireland somehow is connected to Wales? You think they're going to do that? I don't have much thoughts here. I like Rey Mysterio. I like Damian Priest, and I like Finn Balor. Edge is a flip of the coin for me. Get a 6-women tag match. Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Shirai versus Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and Bianca Belair. Why couldn't they have just walked in? See, they're walking into this pay-per-view with a loss. They look like goofs. The heels. If the heels come in and Bayley defeated Aaliyah, then this week, the Dakota and Io defeated Aaliyah again and Raquel. They're coming in and they're like, yeah, we're a force to be reckoned with. Right now, I'm like, look, Bianca Belair's the champ. She's going to whoop these people. Asuka, she's going to whoop these people. I don't know, man. It's so strange to me. Wouldn't that feel a little bigger, a little stronger, right? Because now I'm like, I have no faith in what they're going to do here. They're probably going to give the heels the win. I think that's what they're going to do. They're probably going to give the heels the win. If they don't, new era, same as the old era. Long live the era. Seth Rollins will be taking on Matt Riddle. I think he's getting his first name back. I could not care less about a Matt Riddle match. There's some caveats I have here all throughout. Here's the thing. Let's move back a little bit. For the six women tag match, let's call it a trios match. For the women's trios match, There's too many good performers, too many good wrestlers in that match for it to stink. And I think WWE is also very good at booking multi-person matches. There's no, like, this is going to be entertaining. And I think it has the potential to be one of the best matches of the night. I really do. As Bianca turns up every fucking time when it's time to turn up, she does. Asuka's great. Bayley's great. Dakota's great. Io Shirai's great. Alexa works when Alexa feels like she wants to work. That's not a knock. That's just reality. If you followed Alexa Bliss's career, it's entirely depends on what mood she's in. Seth Rollins and Riddle is the same thing. Seth Rollins on a tear as far as match quality goes. I think he has a good dance partner in Matt Riddle for them to do some insane shit, but you know, if it was up to me, Seth Rollins will beat him. Probably won't. And yes, I did hear Seth Rollins call out the call out on Raw about, you know, Matt Riddle's wife divorcing him and all that stuff. And it got a hearty chuckle from me. Not gonna lie. Anytime anyone wants to throw shade at Matt Riddle, I'm right there. The only thing that's disappointing about it is that, you know, this was not an off-the-cuff thing. This was not CM Punk going to the ring to call out Hangman Page when Hangman Page couldn't come out because he wasn't scheduled to do it. This was scripted. This was planned. So it takes a bit of the sheen away, because then I'm like, are they going to use this? See, this is why I still don't see this great Triple H renaissance for WWE. Because in my book, what Seth Rollins did, calling him out like that, saying, your wife divorced you because you're a piece of shit. You can't see your kids because you're a piece of shit. I'm like, Seth Rollins the babyface here. But we're going to position Matt Riddle, because Matt Riddle's already the babyface, but he's going to want to defeat Seth Rollins to avenge for those nasty things he said about him, despite the fact that they're true. So we're still using like shitty behavior as a way to promote baby faces. I don't understand it. I don't understand that twist of logic where Matt Riddle's shitty behavior is an impetus for me to get behind them, to rally behind them. So this was all scripted, you know, and when that cold shower sort of fell upon me, I was like, you know what, this ain't so fun anymore. It's not as gratuitous as as the headcanon had created. No, this is still a heavily scripted show. This was approved. The guys probably talked about it beforehand. You know, like, this didn't come to a surprise to anyone that Seth Rollins came up with this. Like I've said, this is not a shoot. So I'm a little like, nah. And the frustrating thing is, again, Matt Riddle is going to want to overcome Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins exposed his shitty behavior. You know what? It's kind of fucked up. If Matt Riddle wasn't the babyface, I think it'd be fine. WWE SmackDown Women's title match. Liv Morgan will be defending against Shayna Baszler. We'll see. I am very curious to see. Well, then again, you know, I think the Cardiff audience is going to be so excited to just have a wrestling show. They're just going to be, you know, they're going to be excited for everyone, and that's fine. I mean, look, Liv is going to be in very good hands with Shayna. Shayna's going to look after her. Shayna's going to make sure that everything's okay. That she can get a good match out of Liv. And somehow this Liv experiment is going to continue. I think, because honestly, I think the way that they've set the table, Liv is going to lose the title to Ronda, despite the logic here, where Liv, because again, don't get me, trust me here, this victory here is not a victory where WWE is going to be like, oh yes, this is proof that we trust Liv as a champion. It's still not it. I still believe that they don't have any faith in Liv Morgan as a champion. They cannot wait to put it back on around Ronda's waist. And this match here is just to give Liv maybe a proper victory. Like this, because this is what they have to do. This is what they have to do for Liv in this match. And again, this is all on Trips, right? He's creative. Liv has to get a definitive, real deal win. Not one where she cashed in on an injured person or where she was tapping while the referee counted the 3 on another person. Like, none of that bullshit. She needs to get a real deal win. I don't think she should. Is she going to get it? I don't know. Like, this is up to Paul to tell us, well, guys, I understand how I understand how wrestling works, and I understand that Liv isn't perceived as a real champion right now. Because she's not. They haven't been building her as such. They didn't create her as such. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets another squeak by win here. But she needs a definitive win, especially going back against Ronda, which is probably going to be, what is Crown Jewel the next one? Whatever next pay-per-view's coming up, that's what they're going to do. They're going to set her up for that so that she can lose the title to Ronda. To me, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So she squeaked. So I guess the logic is, well, if Liv can defeat Shayna, maybe she still has a chance against Ronda, but she doesn't. She doesn't because Ronda owned her. She owned her in the SummerSlam match. Ronda's got her number. I think Liv retains. WWE Intercontinental title match. Gunther. Oh, it's Extreme Rules. Okay. Well, you see, then on top of that, they're going to add some sort of weird ass stipulation, and it's going to be in Liv's, it won't be in Liv's favor. WWE Intercontinental title. Gunther. I can't wrap my head around it. Versus Sheamus. I know a lot of people would like Sheamus to win the IC strap here. I would too. Because Sheamus is a workhorse. I think Sheamus, over the past 2 years, has done the best work of his entire career as a solo guy. Because I really did enjoy the bar. But as a solo dude, I think he's been outstanding. He's carried matches that he didn't have to carry. He's been through stuff that he didn't have to go through. He's a workhorse. He's actually a perfect representative for the IC title, right? Isn't that what the IC title is supposed to be? So there you go. I think Gunther retains, though, because I think they see a lot more value in Gunther at this point, and they probably want to warm it up a little more. They probably want to warm him up more, so that he can be perceived as a top level challenger for the next WWE Undisputed Champion. And who's that going to be? Well, It's not going to be Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre. I'll tell you what. I think they have I think the plan here might be a little longer than that. But as far as the unification, the unified titles go, the match, Roman retains. I'd like to think that Drew is going to win in his environment, local crowd, so on and so forth. And if he does, we're breaking with tradition and having guys win in their hometowns. So that might be a little win for Triple H there. But I think Roman retains because folks, I'm convinced Cody's the guy. I think Cody had it put down in his contract. I am the guy who takes the belt off of Roman. Convinced. And I think that they're going to build Gunther. They're going to build him. And when he eventually drops the strap, Cody will be champion. So they're going to put the evil foreigner against Homelander. I think that's the circular, that's the plan. That's what makes the most sense to me at this point. I love Drew. I love Drew McIntyre. Tons. But I think Cody's the guy. I think they want it to be Cody. Because they want the extra I'm doing this for Dusty thing on top of claiming the title away from Roman in his 60 million year reign, you know? I'm expecting the match to be very physical. I think it's going to be a well-worked, good match. Main event, I think it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to this. Bobby Fish is gone from AEW. He's been gone from WWE for a while, Warren. But he is gone from AEW. There were reports coming out that he was like, oh, they're going to let his contract expire, so on and so forth. But look, it was first reported, by Fightful that Bobby Fish's contract with AEW was coming up and that it was not going to be renewed. Turns out, Pro Wrestling Insider says that Bobby Fish is officially a free agent as of August 31st. So he clearly had just a one-year contract and we were good. I don't think it's that big of a loss, and I don't think it's that big a deal either in the grand scheme of AEW. I think AEW can actually benefit a little from culling a little bit of the talent that they've accrued over the past couple of years or so. So I don't think it's that big a deal. I think the value of a guy like Bobby Fish is, and I think this, this is why they brought him in. I think in the first place is to be like in a bit of a player coach situation, but maybe mostly a coach, right? Fish has had some fine matches, in AEW, but this ain't 2012 Bobby Fish anymore, right? We're not necessarily, it's not necessarily the same anymore. It's not the same guy. And look, he's been injured for a while now. So I don't even know how healthy he was. Injured in WWE a couple of times as well. Like there's that also factors into the thing, right? All, accumulated injuries, not necessarily getting what you expected out of him. And then, maybe it turns out that, he was a bit of a handful backstage too. Maybe we sort of, over the past couple of days, we should have seen this coming, right? Where he's been out there tweeting, taking some shots at CM Punk, about the head kick last week, right? You remember that? And clearly he has some issues with him. Honestly, I don't care about who's a hothead and who. No, hang on. Let me rephrase that. I do care about who's a hothead and who dislikes who in locker room environments, because I think that shit is compelling, and I like that kind of stuff. And I think it makes for sometimes, when it's well done, more interesting dynamics on screen on TV. Not always, but as a rule of thumb, let's put it that way. So, you have him going around tweeting stuff, going into an interview saying, I'd go to war for Triple H and all that. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what is going on? And this is all in this, in this environment where the tensions backstage are already widely reported and difficult, and people are just losing their minds over it, and it's just so, it's great shit. And he's going around saying this stuff, and then he has his own podcast, which I didn't know. Did you guys know Bobby Fish has his own podcast? The Undisputed Podcast? And he decided, look, our boy Bobby Fish is bringing wrestling back, shooting from the hip here. Talking about CM Punk, Hangman Page, and the unscripted promo that CM Punk cut on Hangman Page, where he called him out, and Hangman Page didn't come out because he wasn't scheduled to come out, so that made him look like a coward, right? All that stuff. Bobby Fish decided to speak on that. And let's go right ahead. I'm gonna read this off here because I think it's fantastic stuff. Transcript picked off of the Fightful article. It says, quote, "I wasn't there. And even if I was there, it doesn't mean I would have inside information on it. I don't even know what the feeling was backstage. It's interesting that there is a very blurry line, and that blurry line is what pro wrestling is supposed to be. Did he go into business for himself? It's up for debate," he said. And then this is he asked the co-host, his co-host asked him, what he would do, what Bobby Fish would do if he was called out by someone in an unplanned moment on television. And this is fascinating. He goes, "If it's completely off the cuff and I'm completely taken aback by it, I'm heading out to the ring. Of course, I would run it. I'm not going to say run it by the powers that be, because to me, it just comes down to being a man. I'm not calling Page out for not being a man. Let's not get this wrong. I'm sure Page, if he had no idea, I'm not sure he was in the building or what the situation was. I'm saying, if I hear that, the way my brain works in the pro wrestling industry, I'm heading out to the ring. I'm going to answer my critics, or whatever you want to call it. I would try to run it by the boss man, whoever that is, and I would hope to have their blessing as I go out to the ring. However, I'm going unless someone stops me. If you're calling me out, I have to answer that call, or else I lose all credibility. I'm not sacrificing my credibility for anyone, especially not someone who allegedly is going into business for themselves. Personally, I've been in the wrestling business for 20-something odd years, and I think that's an element at times missing from our business. If I speak frankly, it's an element missing from our business, today's version, a palpable conflict where the line is, at the very least, very blurred and confusing. I mean, confusing in a good way. Unfortunately, in our industry, people are so afraid of ruffling feathers that they miss the boat. Two guys can still be professional and have conflict and not see things eye to eye. That's okay. We're adults. I'm okay if it gets behind the scenes, if it were to get physical. There's a lot of testosterone involved in this. a lot of masculine energy. Folks, that's a shoot. That is a shoot. And I don't know why my voice is going like this, but that's a shoot, brother. That shit rules. This is what I keep talking to you guys about when I say the chaos is awesome. He said it himself. We're missing these blurred lines because people are afraid to piss off the wrong person, piss off the boss man, and then, you know, get, which is fine. I get it. But this is what I love about this kind of stuff in wrestling. I love this kind of stuff in wrestling. And we're not done. Because then he talks about Dax Harwood. Here he goes. I will speak from a personal standpoint and I will name names because who gives a fuck? FTR and us, we had a thing. And I won't really get into the details, but Dax and I got into it. At the end of the day, we're both able to be completely professional about it. Even if we weren't, it's okay. And you could have put us on TV that night or the following week and we would have been professional. But there would have been animosity and conflict, and still to this day, there probably would be. That's money. I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm going to tell you one thing. When I hear wrestlers saying things that I pundit about, that I'm like, this is what I like in wrestling, this is what go back to the last few weeks when everyone was losing their shit about the AEW locker room and everyone going, oh, but what about the friendships? What about the big, good, fun family and the hugs and the kisses? And I told everyone, relax, everyone. It's a wrestling locker room. And if people aren't getting along, everyone in the back is going to benefit from it if they know how to use it properly. And this, look at this. This is exactly what fucking Bobby Fish is saying. He didn't bury Dax Harwood. He didn't say Dax Harwood's a son of a bitch. Like, Dax is a CM Punk guy, right? He's in that group now. He's perfectly aligned. FTR is perfectly aligned with that. That's fine. That's his thing. But he didn't, regardless of what Bobby Fish thinks of CM Punk, and we know because of the veiled shots, not so veiled shots that he was taking at CM Punk on Twitter. We know our boy Bobby Fish doesn't care much for Phil. But Fish here didn't go and start burying Dax Harwood, saying he's a terrible wrestler. He stinks. I don't understand why he's getting the put. He didn't bury him. He just said, look, we don't get along. We don't like each other. You would have put us in the ring, that would have made you money. I'm inclined to agree. And this is fascinating. This is such good shit. I am so glad that Bobby Fish, of all fucking people, who had Bobby Fish shooting on AEW on their bingo cards in 2022? No one. That's who. I thought this is great. It's so good. Look, if I'm Triple H and the guy's free and I bring him back, I put him in the PC. Frankly, I don't know what Bobby Fish has to bring anymore. But the biggest missed opportunity, we're going to chalk this up as an L to Tony Khan here. We're going to chalk this up as an L. That Red Dragon did not have more tag team matches. They had, I remember 2 matches. I remember Jurassic Express, and I think they had like a squash match, an enhancement match, and that was it. Singles matches, trios, so on and so forth. But they had Red Dragon. They had the Young Bucks. They had Red Dragon and the Lucha Bros. They had Red Dragon and Butcher and the fucking Blade. And we got nothing. That's an L. Oh, but Warren, he didn't know. There was no way for Tony to know that in a year, Bobby Fish would be gone. Do you not listen to my show? Imaginary person who just commented that really stupid thing? Do you not listen to the MrWarrenHayes show? What do I like? What do I say? What do I keep telling you? What do I strike while the iron is hot? You have it, book it. Book the match before something happens where you can't book the match anymore. Oh, we're going to save it. We're going to save it for later. See, I'm on the record saying that this is one of the things that I like the most about Tony Khan's booking, is that he doesn't wait for the planets to align to put out a match like in the absolute perfect conditions. This is, look, I have it. Let's go. How many years have people been screaming for a 4 Horsewomen main event at WrestleMania? We may still have a chance to do it, but it's not the right time, not the right, there's this and that. Do it while you have it. Because you know one thing that we didn't get as a main event WrestleMania is another triple threat from the Shield members, all as singles guys, who all come back as former world champions, as top dudes. As a bigger step in their... We didn't get that. And we're not going to get it either. It's not the time. It's not the time. Christ, you have the match. And we're going to go a little wider here on this one. I'm going to tell you, when I start retrospecting 2022, I'm going to tell you, the tag team promotion that I once knew as AEW didn't deliver to me in the tag team department this year. I thought tag teams became a very, very, very secondary show, whereas 2020, 2021, they felt crucial, important, part of the fabric of the show, part of the fabric of the brand. This year, whimpers, okay, we're going to do this. Oh, Young Bucks. Very rough year. And dropping the ball so hard we got cheated out of so many matches with Red Dragon. The Titan, Adam Shear, is returning to World Wrestling Entertainment, according to a report, and it will be scheduled for Monday Night Raw this upcoming week. I am reading an article off of the Figure 4 online. According to a report from Pro Wrestling Insider, multiple sources have confirmed that the former Universal Champion is scheduled to be in Kansas City for Raw. Earlier this week, Fightful Select reported that WWE had, quote-unquote, discussed the idea of Strowman's return. WWE sources have reportedly said that he currently looks ring ready and better now than when he was in WWE. I mean, look, it's crazy what you can do when you control your spices. You know, when you don't let big spice take over your meat seasonings and your poultry seasonings and your fish seasonings. These are the results you get. You go from not being You know, from being in WWE to looking better than when you were in WWE. During his time away from WWE, Strowman wrestled for Control Your Narrative, Northeast Wrestling, Great Lakes Championship Wrestling, and the International Wrestling Cartel under his real name, Adam Shear. He also appeared on the Ring of Honor Final Battle 2021 pay-per-view in December. Talk about things that you don't remember. When I read that, I was like, holy shit, that is actually something that happened. I will never poo-poo on a wrestler getting a payday if the Titan Adam Strongman is ready to go back. It got a call from Paul and said, brother, I need you to come. I need you to come finish up my Infinity Gauntlet where I'm going to snap AEW out of existence. I'm glad for him, but legitimately I am. But I think this is also going to be one of those things which is going to be overinflated because already I have, you know, people are like, if he comes back as, you know, ambulance flipping, car pulling Braun Strowman, you know, electrocution survivor Braun Strowman, then I'm cool with that. I mean, that should be your indictment right there. You have no guarantees that this is going to be that. I hope so. I hope that it's something people will get excited about. I want people to be excited about the wrestling they watch. I want them to be happy about it. But this is going to be another one where people are going to be like, oh, Triple H has done it again. But Braun is another guy who never drew a dime. This is another guy who was completely lost in the shuffle and was given all sorts of things. And the minute they stuck a microphone in his mouth, that was the death knell for the guy. And I don't know why they even did it in the first place. Braun Strowman never needed to talk. I know. Oh, I know. Being a top guy in WWE means you have to have pristine mic skills. If you can't compete with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on the microphone, you'll never be a top guy in this company. I get that. I understand. But you bring Braun. Braun is a he is an objectively better big man than Omos, than Shanky. Who's the other big lad that they have right now? Not Top. Well, he's better than Top Dollar too. You know, like there's value to bringing him back. He's a recognizable face to the audience. There is a set of WWE fans that will be like, hey, I'm so glad this guy's back. And then you'll start remembering the matches that he had and you'll be like, oh, okay. All right. But then again, if Triple H is, yes, Babatunde, exactly. Thank you, Chad. But if Triple H is indeed in charge of creative and he is ready to give him, change things and make things better, then maybe this is Braun's moment to shine. Maybe the Titan Adam Strongman is going to be booked and positioned to perfection and will be the greatest revelation that Vince fucked up, right? Because I think there might be some of this. Let's put our tinfoil hat on for a second here. Maybe there's a little bit, a smidge, a little granular, a little spice here of Triple H wanting to bring back these people that he says Vince fucked up, and I'm gonna show that I can do good with them. You know, sort of stick it to the old man kind of thing. Everyone operates on ego to a certain degree. I wouldn't be surprised. But look, Braun is coming back. It's a big deal for Braun because I think he hated the indies. And, clearly his investors in Control Your Narrative ran out of all those hundreds of dollars that they had. No, I mean, like, Braun Strowman is, he's not the brightest tool in the shed. He's confrontational. I think he put a lot of fans. He could have got the support of a lot of fans when he got fired, but he chose to be an asshole to fans and to fans on the indie circuit, who I would argue a lot would have just been ready to accept him and be like, come show us what you can do. Come hang around with us for a while. He, instead of being Matt Cardona, he decided to be a fucking princess. So, he probably hated everything he had to do, wrestling for Northeast Wrestling and Great Lakes Championship Wrestling. And he's probably very disappointed that Control Your Narrative never took off. Frankly, I think EC3 is more disappointed than anyone else right now that Control Your Narrative never took off. Because EC3 is left standing with Flip Gordon, Austin Aries. Is that who we have left? I can't. I don't want to talk much about Control Your Narrative. I have nothing to add. The less, I honestly think the less we speak of them, the better. Anyway, good for him. He's going to be back in his element, and he's going to feel important again. He's going to feel like a big man again, instead of having to, bow to all us, indie wrestling lovers, who didn't get it. They didn't get Control Your Narrative, right? They were too galaxy brain for the rest of us, right? But he's going to be fine. I'm fine. Again, I'm glad the wrestler's getting the payday, but I hold a significant amount of contempt towards him because of his attitude, because of how he came after fans. Why would you go after wrestling? Why would you go after potential customers? And I don't understand. I don't understand the culture of, my haters thrive me. They push me forward. I don't understand that. I don't know. Maybe that's why. Maybe I don't understand it, and maybe that explains why I'm on. I have a D-list podcast in the wrestling. Because maybe if I did, I'd be on top of the world like the Titan Adam Strongman. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how we are going to wrap up this week's weekly wrestling inspection. Come on, there you go. Jeez. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this one up for tonight. I want to thank you all for joining me, for popping in tonight. Look, we're going to talk some more wrestling, but for members only. We're going to talk about the Worlds Collide card. I'm pretty sure I'll find a subject or two. There'll probably be a couple of things extra that'll pop along the way. Look, there were rumors that Malachi Black and Miro were leaving, and they've been debunked. I might talk about that. I might talk about how gullible some people are. Not stupid. Stupidity implies something else, and gullibility does not mean that you're not smart. It's a different thing. But look, I want to thank you all for joining me today. Become a member if you want to go Broadway with me. I'll probably record tomorrow or something like that. So that'll be available for members only. And if you haven't already, give the video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe if this is your first time here and you're like, this guy's not bad. There you go. That'll help out a great deal and will be very appreciated in the same time. In the meantime, between now and next time, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And look, I want to tell each and every one of you out there right now, there is so much wrestling going on this weekend. And even on the indies too, right? We got GCW, we got BLP, we got a whole bunch of stuff. There's too much wrestling this weekend for you to watch things that you hate. Don't watch the shit that you hate. Watch the things that you want to watch. There's too much good stuff this weekend. All right? I'm telling you. So enjoy the weekend. There's lots of wrestling. It should be a lot of fun. It will be a lot of fun. So enjoy the weekend, folks. Thank you again for joining me. And we will see you next time.